Hey guys, thanks for joining my channel. This is the channel for those of you who don't know how to make professional looking cakes, don't have the time or energy to do so, to make stuff from scratch. So I'm going to be using very basic ingredients that you can find at the store, boxed cake, canned icing, your basic pans, just to make some very nice looking cakes that will impress your guests or even your kids. I'm a stay-at-home mom, so this is for all of you stay-at-home moms and stay-at-home dads. So we're gonna get started. Here is the cake you will be making. I am using 2 different flavors of cake because I'm going to do sort of a marble multi-flavored cake. I will have extra, so I'm going to do another video to show what to do with the extra. I'll be making some cake pops, so look out for that video. Some canned frosting, whatever flavor you want. I'm going to do chocolate since we're doing a heart cake. I'm going to do a chocolate covered heart. You'll want a square pan and a round pan. They'll need to be roughly the same size. And if you're doing 2 flavors like I am, you'll need an extra pan just for your excess batter. I'm also doing a little pan because my daughter wants to make a cake too. So I recommend lining the bottom of your pans with parchment paper. It'll make sure that your cake does not stick. The aerosol cans don't really work all that well, especially for boxed cake, and they leave sticky residue, which I don't like. It ruins your pans. So I like lining mine with parchment paper. Guarantees that it'll flip out easy. Honestly, you'll never want to do a cake again without lining the bottom. And then you can brush the sides with oil to make sure that it doesn't stick. Yeah, so let's get started. So first you'll want to take your parchment paper and measure it out. I only need about half of this, so I'm going to cut it in half. Then you're just going to gently set it in there. It'll go up the sides, and that's fine. That's less stuff that you have to spray. Get another sheet, and you're going to take this sheet for the round. You're going to fold it in half. And there's my daughter. Like I said, I'm a stay-at-home mom, and she wants to help, so here she is. So like I said, you're going to fold it in half. Then you're going to fold it in half again, crossways. Yeah, good job. Then you're going to take the point that's folded and you're going to fold the corner over. Yeah, until it forms a sort of cone.
Cone?
Yeah, you're doing really good. So you can see that's what my paper looks like. I folded it over. Are you showing them? Good job. Yeah. And then what you're going to do is you're going to take this and you're going to place that sort of in the middle. Just roughly find the middle of the pan. And where the edge is, you're going to cut around that. What your paper should look like, ish. Then you're going to unfold it. And it'll form a circle. Or in my case, a sort of square. And that should fit pretty nicely at the bottom of your pan. Thank you so much. You are so helpful. You're going to want to mix up the cake next. Like I said, you can use 1 box or 2. I'm going to use 2, and I'll show you how to marble them together to get a really pretty effect and to have 2 different flavors. So she and I are going to go ahead and start mixing up our batter. Up. We're going to pour part of the batter into one of the pans, part of the batter into the other. All right, go ahead. This is just for us, don't worry. Anyhow, so you're going to take this, pour it into the pan. Nope, that's enough. More batter. Take some and pour it into the other pan. And you're going to take some of the white and do the same.
No, I don't like it.
Well, I'm sorry you don't like it. Well, that's how it is. Isabel. daughter abandoned me because I'm not letting her eat all the cake batter. So anyhow, once you have your 2 layers in there, your 2 colors, you're gonna take a knife and you're just gonna swirl it back and forth. Just kind of cutting the batter together. I don't know if you can see that. I don't want to tilt it too much. Okay, so my cakes just came out of the oven. I just want to show you a quick trick for flattening your cakes, especially if it has a nice big dome on it. So you're going to take a clean cloth and you're going to soak it in cold water and wring it out. Then you're going to place the cloth over the cake and you're just going to gently press down. If you have something like a heavy book that's roughly the same size, obviously this is a round pan, but if you have a book or something heavy that you can sit on it, that works as well. You're just going to gently press down until the cake is relatively even. It does make your cake a little bit more dense because it's flattening it out on the inside. But once you flip it over, you won't have to worry about cutting off the excess. Okay, so while the cakes are cooling down, I wanted to show you how to get the most out of your canned frosting. So we're not going to do anything to this other than fluff it up a bit. So you're going to want to scrape it out of your can. And I'm just going to use my mixer, and this is where it comes in. You can use a regular mixer, handheld. All right, you can see I have about twice the amount of frosting. It kind of whipped it up and fluffed it up a bit. So you can use that. You can spread it easy and it'll give you more bang for your buck. Once your cakes are flipped over and cooling, you'll want to take the parchment paper off. And once they're fully cooled down, we're going to cut the round cake in half and position it so that it forms a heart can. I ended up taping 2 of my flexible cutting mats together and covering them in foil. And that's what I'm going to put my cake on. That's what I'm going to decorate it on. I'm not transporting this anywhere. We're just eating it at home. So if you are transporting it, I do recommend getting a cutting board or a box and lining it, cutting the box out so it's flat and then lining it with something so that you can put and decorate your cake on it. We're gonna go ahead and cut this cake out. So I'm centering my square cake on the board. Cut your circle cake directly in half. And then you're going to take each half and place them on the edges of the heart. And this is going to be upside down, but you can see that it's already forming that heart shape. Because I'm going to take a Ziploc bag. This is a quart. And I'm going to, you're going to flip the top down. So that way it gives you a place to hold. And you're going to fill up your bag on one side, and then you're just going to cut off the end, and that's going to help you squeeze it so you get it kind of even, and then we're going to spread it and smooth it. Alright, so I've got my bag full. You're going to cut off the end, and it doesn't have to be beautiful, but it'll just help you get all that frosting out. So you want to go in the grooves, you want to go around the edges of the cake. Frosting on here. I'm going to just take a spoon and I'm just going to spread it out. And I'm using a spoon instead of a knife because it has a smoother surface, so it's easier to spread. You can go back with a flat spatula later and try and smooth it if you want. Or spoons tend to make really pretty patterns, so you can kind of get some grooves in there if you want to leave it like that. So I'm going to go ahead and spread out and smooth my cake. Something you can do is if you have too much frosting in one area, you can smooth and scrape it and keep that frosting. And I tend to just scrape it in a bowl, that way if I need it a little bit later, I still have that excess frosting. Just be careful that it doesn't have cake chunks in it because it'll ruin the texture of your cake. You want to make sure you get in this little groove so that it has the heart shape. And just make sure that your cake is fully covered. So I have my heart completely covered. I'll show you what it looks like for right now. You can see that it has the swirl marks and stuff in it. So I'm actually going to go ahead and smooth it out. The easiest way to do this is if you have a flat spatula. This is what mine looks like. I don't know if you can see that. You can use a knife. It is a little bit harder. It is possible though. You're gonna wanna get some really hot water, put it in a cup. You'll dip your spatula or knife in there, shake it off, and then you're just gonna lightly go over the surface. Very lightly, and you'll scrape off the excess. Now, you'll know that you have too much water on your spatula if it starts to pool. Okay, so I smoothed my cake completely out. You can see it is nice and smooth now. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna take our white icing and you're going to actually melt it in the microwave. I would only do it in 15-second intervals because you do not want it to be super liquidy because the oil will pull apart and you'll be left with a nasty jar of goo. So 15-second intervals. Go ahead and dye it first. I'm gonna make mine pink. You want it liquidy enough that it just will drip down slowly. Like I said, 10 to 15-second intervals in the microwave. Be very careful. I threw mine into a bowl because it was easier to mix up the color, but I just used the basic food coloring that you can get at any store. I used 8 drops of red, and this is the color that I got. If you're wanting a more vibrant color, if you're actually wanting real red, you'll need to go to Michael's or some sort of craft store like that where you can get an actual liquid gel food coloring. Okay, so I melted mine for 30 seconds total. I did 15 seconds, stirred it, and then another 15. This is about the consistency you're looking for. So it's liquidy, but it's still together. Then you're gonna take your Ziploc bag and you're gonna pour it in. The easiest way to do this is to fold it down, stick it in a cup, pull this over it. Then you have that, you can place it down and you can just pour right in. And once your frosting is in here, and if you don't want it getting everywhere, you can lock it up. And you're going to want to cut a very small tip off of this. Just the very tip. Okay. You can see my frosting is pouring out. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to take your cake and your frosting and you're just going to want to go around the edge, and every once in a while you'll want to just put a little bit more at the side. I'm going to take my camera down and I'm going to show you. Alright, you're going to take your frosting and just come down. And it'll give it that beautiful drip look. And you're going to want to do that over the entire cake. Okay, so here's what the cake looks like. There's my drip border. What I ended up doing was I took my frosting and I traced along the edge so that it covered it, and then I did the water technique and smoothed it out again. So it's very simple. Of course, you don't have to do that. I wanted a bit cleaner look. You don't need to be a professional cake decorator in order to write on a cake. You just need a toothpick. You need to be able to write clearly, and you need to know how to trace. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to take my toothpick, I'm going to write whatever I want in here, and I'm going to take my little frosting bag and I'm just going to trace it. Here's what mine looks like after I wrote in it with a toothpick. Okay, so you don't want your frosting to be super liquidy anymore, so if you need to, throw it in the fridge. That way it's a little bit stiffer. And then when you go to write, so your bag will be probably super full, you just want to pinch off a small section of it. That'll give you control over it, just enough that it fits in the palm of your hand. And since my frosting is already kind of liquidy, I don't really need much pressure. and you're just gonna gently squeeze out. And when you're done squeezing for the line, you just stop and lift it up. Stop squeezing and lift it. So here is my cake. So now that your cake is done, you have the writing on it, you can dress it up with sprinkles, you can put polka dots on it. If you have other little decorations, you can put those on it. I'm gonna do sprinkles. I have some red, white, pink, and purple sprinkles, and so I just think that looks really cute. So I'm just gonna go ahead and sprinkle my cake, and then I will call it done. And in the next video, I will show you how to make some cake pops out of the leftover cake that I had, or out of a full cake if you have one. And just like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video, if you learned something, and keep an eye out for future videos. See ya! Say bye!
Bye.
This is why you don't squeeze from the top of the frosting bag, or Ziploc bag rather, because it will explode. I was just trying to empty it into my container.